But speaking of the history of GAA, we were putting together a video and a slideshow, and we were looking at old photos, and we found a load of photos from the 50s and 60s, and we got emails from far and wide. We got an email during the week from a guy in Nelson who played in the 1960 Fesh, and just told us a few stories how he flew up for that. And if you look at the posters, there's a team from 1953. We got an email during the week from one of the players' daughters saying, "Oh yeah, my dad's on that team. Do you want a couple more photos?" And they were hoping to be here tonight, but they can't be here. So the history just goes back, and we just captured a really, really small part of it. But we also found a photo from 1961 Fesh in Wellington, and it's the longest serving player in the room tonight. We have a couple longer, but this is pretty apt. This person has helped out Wellington GAA for more than 50 years. When I arrived in 2006, went out to Evans Bay and just kind of threw the boots on. And this is Anna Carroll, we all know who this is. But Anne was sitting in a chair with a notebook looking for names and said, "We're going to Auckland in 2 weeks. You're staying in this hostel, you're sharing with so-and-so. We're playing on." There was no question that you weren't going. Meanwhile, Austin was outside kicking football, doing umpire, playing goals, doing bits and pieces. But the fine photos from the 1960s where Anne and Austin were playing. And I think Anne and Austin met at the GAA. Yeah. So all the way from the early 60s right through to 2010, when Wellington made the Australasian final in Auckland, and Anne and Austin were told not to travel. You can't. It's not good for your health to be on airplanes. Just have bad health at the time. So we lined out in the final, and who were sitting in the stands with Anne and Austin cheering us on. So there's no keeping them back. So yeah. So Anne is the absolute legend. She is Wellington GAA. It wouldn't be there without her. Wouldn't be there without Austin. But Anne is our hero. She's our legend. She's our patron. So I'd like to invite Anne up to say a few words.
Tell me if you can hear me. Now, straight away you can see what age I am. Did you see Denise get up from the phone? No. I've even got an old-fashioned one that I'm not too sure how to use. Anyway, first of all, a warm welcome to all the visitors that are here, as well as all of our family, GAA family from Wellington. We also have the family from Christchurch. It's lovely to have you all here, and especially in the club that I'm very fond of. I'm patron of the Irish Club as well. I was a young girl of 17 when I started playing camogie. Some of the girls I had been to school with co-opted me into the game, and in fact my camogie stick is up there. That's one of the funny sticks they look at. We used to travel into town on a Sunday afternoon. The park was above the zoo. It was called Melrose Park. After 1961, we used to go to Upper Hutt to practice, because by that time there was an Irish club society in the hut. We didn't have club rooms, but it was definitely there, and the competition was on against Wellington. There was a regular fesh every year in those days. The fesh was in Christchurch in 1961 and 1964, and I travelled down on both those occasions on a ferry that used to go overnight into Christchurch. Saved you one night's accommodation, you see. In 1961, it was mostly school pals that went. There was more than 6 of us, but 6 of us wanted to hire a car, and we knew they wouldn't hire a car for 6 of us. So 3 of them went in and hired the car, and we waited around the corner to hop in, because we wanted to go down to one of the girls' brothers who was training horses. I've always had an interest in horses. We were in the same hotel in 1964, as the Auckland team. This time it was sort of an extended honeymoon, because I'd got married in September, and it was Labour weekend. So and the Auckland team was in the same hotel. I wish I could remember their names, because they were born entertainers, and we had just a wonderful weekend. The whole 3 nights were brilliant. Someone pinched the hotel bell. The Irish got the blame. Later in 1987, my late husband Austin and others like Mick and Mary Goff, who ended up going back to Carlo, and Tony and Mary Gormley. Tony's not here tonight, I thought he would be. We got together and we called a meeting to gauge interest in forming a GAA, and we also extended the invitation to Wellington. But there was only 2 GAA stalwarts, the late Frank Folan, I should say, Frank Folan, and Mick Walsh, who turned up for Wellington. That's why it was called Hutt Valley Wellington GA originally. I don't mind that you've changed it. I still love you all. The Hutt City Council gave us our own ground to use, and at one stage we had 5 separate clubs playing, a couple that John's already mentioned. There was also Bellevue Gales, there was West, and there was South, and of course the 2 that you mentioned, I think the Shamrocks and Fielding, John. We got accepted by the GAA in Australia in 1987 and travelled there for their games most years from 1989 onwards. What happened to our field? Well, an extremely awful storm took a whole lot of it away into the Hutt River in October 1997. And that was the year that we actually hosted the Australasian Games for the first time at Avalon Park. And so you can imagine how the games were, but we were so lucky. There was this marvellous groundsman, I don't know, you can see I've got trouble with memory, this marvellous groundsman who worked for the Lower Hutt City Council. No one else could have got the park to such a good condition that none of the games were cancelled. The whole lot were played on the same ground. I think we put a couple on the back field, just because to save ground. That we fielded a senior men's football, a minors football team and a ladies football team that year. I suppose because you weren't travelling, you see. We also played the first New Zealand versus Australia senior Gaelic football game. It was also a financially successful games thanks to the wonderful sponsors and the support from the community, the Irish club community. I can tell you one thing that did happen. In those days, of course, we didn't have an ambassador, but we had assistant to the ambassador travel over from Canberra to here, and we got back here. All that car park there was all flooded. That's how bad it was. And he hopped out. I was driving one vehicle, my husband was in another vehicle. He hopped out. I was trying to tell him, duck, duck. He was out. Shoes were wet, socks were wet. He came in here and we had to put the heaters on and dry them out. And we organised getting someone to deliver fish and chips here. That's how. So it was quite a night, and he had a real welcome to the Hutt Irish Club. A dip in the water. Anyway, I'll let you get on with your evening. I hope you've enjoyed the little bit that I had to say.
So we just got a little presentation from Denise to Anne on behalf of the